Okay, on to the next standard, and this one's a lot shorter than the other two. Okay, when you take the assessment on this, it's only like 3 problems, but we're gonna practice. It's not all that easy. Okay. Okay, and this is new. Nobody has had this before, so none of this will look familiar. Okay, I want to run through a couple warm-ups here. I want you to simplify that and find the product, x plus 4 to the second power. Well, with that plus sign, some of you might be thinking, oh, that's where you make the 3 boxes. No, it's not. When you have a plus or a minus, what you do is eliminate the exponent, make a multiplication, and you duplicate that same expression, okay? And then it's the 1-2 step process, and then there's 2. It's 2 by 2, so we're going to go with the FOIL first. So 1x times 1x, 1x times 4, 4 times 1x, and 4 times 4. 1x to the second, 4x, 4x, and 16. Okay, so x to the second's the high, so blank x second plus blank x plus blank, and then 1x to the second, and then 4 plus 4 is 8, and then 16. Okay. Now this here is what we call a perfect square trinomial. Now some of you are like, what the heck does that mean? That means if I did the T-chart, the ABCT, and got it back to here, they would end up the exact same 2 factors, 1x plus 4, 1x plus 4, okay? So we got a trinomial. It's known as a perfect square trinomial because the result was me taking the same thing times the same thing, and that's going to happen on the next one too, okay? I want you writing this down, this stuff I'm doing here, okay? So 1, 2, so FOIL first, 1x times 1x, 1x times negative 3, it's done, negative 3 times 1x, and negative 3 times negative 3, that's 1x squared, negative 3x, negative 3x, and 9. Okay. All right, so x squared is your highest, so blank x squared plus blank x plus blank, and that's 1. Negative 3 is negative 6, x, and then 9. Once again, that's a perfect square trinomial, okay, because you got it from multiplying the same 2 factors. Now, what you're going to be doing on the assignment is not this. You're going to be taking this and getting back to here. But there's one thing you have to do first, okay? Complete the square to factor, and here's what it says. And these are cookie cutters. They're all the same pretty much. Complete the square and then factor. X to the second minus 6x plus c. You have to pay attention here. Here's what you do first. What you need to do is eliminate the c, and you need to come up, and I want you to use, and we need to come up with a number where if I do the T-chart, I'm going to end up with the same 2 factors. Again, what we're trying to accomplish is to take this and get back to the very beginning, okay? So, the way to accomplish this is put A and B, and then that's why C was there, because we don't have a number there yet. That's what we have to do first, come up with a number here. And you are going to use the formula B divided by 2 to the second power. It's a new formula. It's not hard to use, though. You take your B, even though it's negative, we're just going to use 6, because we end up squaring it anyway. Okay, and then 2 to the second. 6 divided by 2 is 3 to the second, and that equals 9. Okay, 3 times itself. So put a 9 there, and that's how you come up with the number for C. take your b, divide it in half, and then square it. Take it times itself. All right, now what I will be doing after that is I will be making my t-chart. So A, B, C. And A is always going to be equal to 1 today, so you won't have to worry about does A equal 1 or does it not. So again, A times C, and that's going to be 1 times 9. It's positive 9, and that'll always be positive. All these are sums, and we want to find a sum of 6. Now, here's the thing. What number times itself gives you 9? You don't even have to run through all the t-chart factors if you use that b over 2 squared formula and get the right number, okay, when you use that. What factor times itself gives you 9? It's easy. 3 and 3. Okay, isn't that a sum of 6? Yeah, it is. Okay, now put signs on them. Now, there's really no larger factor because they're the same. Now, the 6 is minus, so that'll be minus, and a sum they'll match. Okay. So, make it 2 parentheses. You just need 2 because A is 1, so x, and then minus 3, minus 3. It'll be the same identical things. Now, if they end up identical, which they always should, you need to make x minus 3 to the second power, and that's where you're going to end at. Okay, just like that. All right, next problem. Get rid of the C, and to find the number that goes in its place, we use b divided by 2 to the second power. Okay. So b is 20 divided by 2 to the second, and that's 10 to the second, and that's 10 times itself is 100. Okay. And that's our C. Okay, now factor that expression using the t-chart. And you're like, what's the point of this? First off, it's used in trig all the time. Now some of you are like, I'm not taking trig. Okay, so just not teach it so you can just slough off or whatever. Okay, get out of here with that stuff. Okay, so A times C. 1 times 100. 100 positive. Sum of 20. Okay. All right, what number times it's first off, anytime you use that formula, they'll be the same. What number times itself is 100? It's on the board. 10 and 10. Oh, that adds to 20. Amazing how that works. So the 20 is plus, so they'll both be pluses, and they'll always be identical signs because of that. So I just need 2 parentheses with x and x because it's A is 1, and then plus 10, plus 10. Now make that x plus 10 to the second power. All right, next problem. Get that C out of there, and we need to find something that we'll be able to write a binomial square. That's what you're trying to accomplish. So b over 2 squared. Okay, so AB. So 12 divided by 2 to the second, and that's 6 to the second. And it's not 12. What's 6 times is 6? Not 36. Okay. Here, if you are terrible with the second powers, you go 6, second power, boom. Okay. So 36. Now factor that expression. A times C, 1 times 36 is positive 36, sum of 12. And what number times itself is 36? And doesn't that also give you the sum of 12? That works every time when you use this formula to find the C value. C is positive, so these will both be positives. Sum, they were both positives because it was a sum. Positive because that was the B sign. So make your 2 parentheses and x plus 6, and you need to write that then as x plus 6 quantity squared. B over 2 to the second. And even though B is negative 16. We're just going to put 16. I don't want to confuse myself with the negative because we end up squaring it. The negative goes away. I don't want to worry about it. That's 8 to the second. What's 8 times itself? 64. So that will be the C value. So A times C, 1 times 64. 64 positive sum of 16. Okay, what times itself would be 64? Would be 8. Okay, they add up to 16. Now the 16, the middle term is minus, so they're both minus. They're both the same because of the sum. Okay. So x minus 8, x minus 8, and x minus 8 quantity squared. You won't have to worry about making 4 parentheses. That's not going to happen. I didn't put any like that. Out of here with that. A and B. So B over 2 to the second. So that's going to be 12 divided by 2 to the second. And that's 6 to the second. That's 36. Okay, so T chart, A times C, it's going to be 1 times 36. That's 36 positive. Sum of 12. What times itself would be 36? It's 6 times 6, and that's also a sum of 12. So my B is plus, so 6 is plus here. And again, it's a sum. They're all sums, so they'll be matching signs. Again, this is a perfect square trinomial because I can write it as a binomial squared. X plus 6 to the second. Okay, A, B, C. But we're getting rid of C. Remember that we need to come up with a number using the B divided by 2 squared. Okay, so B is 2 divided by 2 to the second. That's 1 to the second. 1 times 1 to the second isn't 2, genius. Okay, 1 times itself is 1. Okay, so A times C, it's 1 times 1, so that's 1. Sorry, that was rude, but positive 1, sum of 2. Well, what times itself is 1? It's 1, and that also makes a sum of 2. 1 plus 1 is 2. So plus, okay. All right, A is 1, so we just need 2 parentheses, and x, and then plus 1, plus 1. And then we can write that as x plus 1 quantity squared. We should end up with something like this on every problem. Okay, you got 4 to do on your own. Oh no. Yeah, do those. Okay, shouldn't take that one.